All right. Well, welcome everybody. Glad to see you here tonight. We are just getting started, and this was a kind of a last minute thing. We're supposed to do the first Thursday of every month, and I think they
Wow.
missed July 4th. So,
Oh, that makes sense.
yes, that kind of makes sense. But yeah, we're live tonight, and we will be answering folks' questions, and
Do we have questions?
we will see. I don't know if any have been pre-submitted. I mean, you could just kind of give folks an overview of what we spent the last month doing,
Last month?
or 2 months, I guess. I can go look over here and see if we've got anything pre-submitted, or if we're just good to go with what folks got. Folks, if you're in the comments, you can kind of just let us know what you guys got going on, or where you're joining us from, and we will go from there. Anyway, so what have we been working on?
We started baking in our kitchen.
Yep.
So the barn kitchen is functioning, which feels exciting and nice to have its own space for doing that kind of stuff instead of cramming it into a little whatever space we can. So that's fun. We got a fancy oven
Very fancy oven.
to bake some fancy loaves. And the guy who's going to be baking with us has been working the last 2 weeks, so that's been fun. It's nice to not feel like it's nice to have like a teammate, you know, when he's like, "Here, just do this," and I'm like, "I can do that." I've never baked 40 loaves of bread at a time,
Yeah.
but I did last week.
Yeah. And folks, if you want to let us know in the comments where you're joining us from, that would be awesome. Yeah, because the kitchen has been a long time in coming. It's been quite a long time. Yes. I mean, we started hiring.
We were like, "Oh, February."
Yes.
February, which is cute of us.
Yes.
It wasn't February. Hello, Cindy.
Yeah, good to see you,
Are
Cindy.
you getting some rain too?
Well, if you aren't getting rain, it's coming your way.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. I'm looking a little wet because I had to run out and close up things before we did before we popped
flooded into the barn.
Yeah. All right, so the kitchen is going. What main equipment do we have in there?
We have a lot of food processors. We have the oven. We have a little stovetop cook thing, but that probably needs to be. You just got hammered. Okay. Yeah. I would like to get just a regular like oven in there instead of that thing.
Yeah. Well, to that point, the problem with what we got in there is I earlier today put some blackberries on there in a pot, and I mentioned to the person in there, said, "Hey, watch this and take it off when it's done." Well, went in there and it smelled really bad, and they did not.
Oh, they were busy doing other things. I can tell you that.
Well, anyway, they
They're toasted blackberries now.
They're more than toasted.
Oh no!
It's like literally like charcoal blackberries.
Oh gosh, I've done that before.
Yes, and it wasn't our pot either. Anyway,
it'll be fine. It'll be
anyway. We'll move on
fine
from that. But I think again,
okay.
It's one of those things. Yeah, we don't need. Keith, good to see you in Richmond.
That's someone from Montana.
Yeah.
Montana.
So anyway, yeah. So we've got the freeze dryer in there too.
Right. Yeah, the freeze dryer's humming. The dehydrator's still in there doing things.
And we've been running the freeze dryer pretty much 24/7.
Yeah.
I mean, the only times it won't get run is if, let's say, it comes off, is done. It takes about 48 hours really to do a full batch, because we're not doing Skittles. We did one batch of Skittles just to try it.
We have yet to figure out how to grow those.
But
that synthetic dye and high fructose corn syrup just doesn't grow on trees. You know?
Yes, but the interesting thing about Skittles is Skittles took 4 hours.
Yeah.
And real fruits and vegetables take 48 hours.
Slow food.
Yeah, and then it takes 2 to 4 hours to thaw out.
Right.
So your total cycle time on this is over 50 hours. So it definitely is. People say, "Why is freeze-dried food so expensive?" And we're like, because of this.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, it's so good. Like, I mean, I literally have to like tell my children not to go steal it all.
Yes.
Like the melon's really good. The peaches.
I think the watermelon tastes like cotton candy.
It does a little bit, but the cantaloupe's really good too.
Yeah. And so obviously there's a couple ways we're using this freeze dryer on the farm. We're using it first to kind of process some specific crops that we wanted to. But secondly, the other thing was to really take a lot of the seconds that we have. So out today, they were cutting up melon, and melon is something that has a very, very short shelf life. And unfortunately, the quantities we have to buy it in, sometimes we can't use it as fast as we would like.
Oh, and also the thing about melon is when it goes bad in like a spot. It's not like the whole thing's toast. It's like you have plenty of really yummy melon, but then you've got this like gooey spot, you know.
Yes.
So this is perfect for that because you have, 80% of the melon still usable.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, what we do with that is we're dehydrating it, put it in the store,
freeze drying
it. Sorry, yes. And freeze drying is technically a dehydration process done in a vacuum with a cold vacuum. Anyway, but doing that, put it in the store, and I think it's been really successful too. People have liked it a lot. But interesting, one of the first things we did, so obviously we bring in a lot of peaches here on the farm, and the local peaches, we buy them ripe because the best flavor is ripe.
Yeah.
But that means they degrade really fast as well.
Sure.
So we definitely have a waste stream of those, and those go into the kitchen. They get basically cleaned up, blenderized, and then we eat some kefir that was about to hit date. And so literally what we did is took the kefir, took the peaches, kind of made like a mix, almost like a smoothie.
Yeah.
And then
essentially what it was.
Yes. And then put it in the freeze dryer. And that's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Some people say it's too sour.
It is pretty tart. We could have sweetened it. I was kind of going for like a yogurt bites type deal.
Yes.
Like when the kids are really little. I don't really buy them anymore, but I remember when Simon and Charlotte were little, I would get those little yogurt bites. Yeah. And it was just freeze dried yogurt.
So that's something we're looking to create. We tried one batch, and we haven't had not enough supply things for it to do it. So we haven't done it again.
Yeah,
we did it one time, and now we bought the dividers because it will also kind of cut it up into larger pieces. So we're still experimenting with it. Obviously, the one-off things like the freeze-dried melon and we did squash chips the other day.
Those were so tasty.
Yes, those were very good.
With fire cider dust on
yes.
them.
So anyway, we're still experimenting with it, having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we are learning some tricks.
Yeah, we did some roasted tomatoes that we blenderized and put in there, and then I used that.
No, don't tell them.
Oh.
Top secret, local customers, you'll be able to experience that in a few days.
Okay.
But I think it's going to be very, very delicious.
Savannah's a hashtag oversharer.
We got to keep some secrets here.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Cindy says, I just want to thank you for providing such great products and fun for my husband. We picked strawberries and blackberries this year. Your produce and selection in the store are excellent. I'm now making weekly trips for my veggies and fruit for the week. Exceptional produce. Thank you, Cindy.
Yeah.
We're so glad that you're a customer.
You said that just like a commercial.
She did.
You are a commercial, Cindy. Thank you.
Yes.
You're hired.
No, that was great.
Yeah.
Keith asks, I was given an elderberry bush, but I don't know what kind it is. How can I find out what it is? Oh, Keith, this is the age-old question. And we get this question literally, I'd say weekly, at least weekly when we're doing with the elderberry.
What kind of bush are you?
Yeah. And unfortunately, Keith, there's really not a good way to know. Now, you probably have an American elderberry, American black elderberry. That's typically what you're going to find in most of the U.S. The problem with it is that wild elderberry grows pretty much ubiquitous across most of the U.S. And you were given it. So, I mean, the easiest thing to do is let it grow out and fruit, and then we can kind of look at the umbrals, look at kind of how the fruit looks. If you could send, if once you get at the fruiting stage, you can send us pictures, and we can start to kind of give you an idea.
So once it fruits, you'd be able to tell what kind of.
It's a lot easier. There's some people that say they can look at any plant immediately when it's growing and say, that's this type of elderberry. I have a hard time with that.
Yeah, that I would imagine so.
Because even I know we put them right next to each other. Right. When they're very small, they're almost impossible.
Yeah.
The leaves aren't that different. Are the
umbrals the buds?
The umbrals are kind of like where the fruit grows on.
Oh, okay. Umbrella.
Cymes also is another word for it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure
because it looks like an umbrella. Umbrellas.
Oh, is that what that is?
I'm sure that's like the root.
Someone can fact check
Let me go drum
this.
up my Latin real quick.
Someone can fact check us in the comments there.
Somebody says we're cute.
Alicia says, eating a beautiful melon I bought from you today. Awesome.
They are good.
And the melons are actually now, they should be in from, they're from Schaefer Farm, which they were nice melons. Yeah, yes. Schaefer Farm is in Trenton. They're in Trenton. Our goal is to be able to start doing our own melons next year. It's going to require a little bit of infrastructure for us. There's two things with melons that are challenging. Is one, they just take a lot of ground to grow. And at this point, we are just still struggling to have enough ground for crops. So the goal is that by next year, we have a new field, 7-acre field. We'll be able to get in and over there and put enough plants in that make it worth it.
Gosh, we'd have to make sure. I worry about deer over there going, yeah. Hello, melons.
Yeah.
Love
so
them.
Kind of, I think we've probably talked about a little bit about the land we have over there. We picked up, it's a 5-acre lease, 8-year lease term. So we have it for a long time. Originally, we were going to be able to use there was a well on site that we thought we were going to be able to use. That's not going to happen. So we had to spend, I think it was about $7,000 to drill a new well. So that's just to drill the well. That is not to put a pump down it, put the controller down it. The pump and controller is probably going to be at least another $10,000.
Anybody here is good at math?
It is. Man, you were vindicated. Bree vindicated you.
Bree, you are hired. Yeah. Thank you, Bree.
Now, Bree probably did put that from ChatGPT.
Don't care.
So we're going to invest probably $17,000 to $20,000 in just the well. But wait, there's more. Then we need a well house, and then we're gonna have to be a pretty big injector because we built this to be able to do 100 gallons a minute. Her boss taught her well. Man, wow, great boss she's
really
got.
Hooked her up to chat to a robot.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah.
Because now we have to bring power back to this well.
Oh right. Oh. Gosh.
So by the time we're all said and done, yes, we will pay off for 7 years, but I would say at least the first year, 2 years, we'll probably be putting back into paying off infrastructure on this property.
Yeah.
We do have leases secure. There is definitely a possibility beyond these 8 years that we have it. So that's why we're willing to spend this kind of money on this property. But it's a heck of a lot more than we thought we ever would. And it's taken a lot of free cash we have now. So basically means free like cash. A lot of
that doesn't exist. Free cash.
It's an accounting term.
I understand.
Or like a business management term. Anyway, we have to put other projects on hold. So we were going to build a giant walk-in cooler.
Which we desperately.
Yes, because we have 3 walk-in coolers right now, and they're all very full. I don't know if any CSA members are here listening. I know there are some actually, but y'all kind of realize that one of our coolers is a little tight right now, and all of our coolers are. And unfortunately, part of it is because not only do we operate the farm here off the property, but we also operate a grow operation, not that type of grow operation, a strawberry grow operation, which ships plants nationwide and plants nationwide. And so we need, like right now, we have about 25,000 strawberries tips and another 20,000 strawberry plants sitting in inventory. And so that takes a significant amount of cooler space. So anyway, these other projects are having to be put on hold while we kind of get this water situation figured out.
And we need all those strawberry tips gone before we can harvest like root crops for.
Well, they'll be gone. They'll definitely be gone.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
They'll definitely be gone. So anyway, it's one of those things. Getting you a melon is a little bit more than just putting a few plants in the ground. So once this property is set up with the water, though, then the next thing we'll probably have to deer fence it.
Yeah.
Because
the plot is near us. It's about 4 minutes away. It's on.
On Chamberlain.
Yeah, past the spaceships.
Yes, it's a little bit past the spaceships. On the other side of town, but it is it's good quality ground. I went over to do soil samples and it samples soil better in just year 1 than we are sampling here in year 4.
Probably. Well,
It's better quality soil.
gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, like we basically sent out, we basically get core. So we have this little coring tool which goes all the way down, and we were able to take an 18-inch core just directly.
Oh, nice.
And it's all black all the way down. Cheryl, it's too much to build at the moment. Yes. So Lisa is saying,
She bought a
small for Gothic tunnel with a little help from NRCS. Melons are awesome. Not seeing much benefit on peppers though. Experimenting with cut flowers. Lisa, what part of the country are you in? Lisa, very interesting you say about the NRCS office for help with wells irrigation. They will not help us with wells irrigation until 5 years of showing that we have irrigated on our farm for 5 years. And because we haven't owned our property for 5 years, they will not help us. So the reason we're not doing a well on this property, because right now we're dealing with 2 insufficient wells, about 30 gallons a minute. We really like 100 gallons a minute. So the reason why they won't help us is we're not 5 years in. So
she's in Nebraska.
She's in Nebraska. Nebraska. Peppers should be good though, but in Nebraska, you have a warm enough summer that they'll just do well outside. I mean, we technically do all our peppers inside, but that's really so we can just have a jump on the season. We want we want colored bells. I think we started harvesting those the last of June. Alicia could probably tell us when she saw them in the store first. Yeah, we just do it because we want a earlier crop. And peppers will do pretty well outside. So yeah, it's not as much of a benefit there.
Would that vary state to state though?
Oh, the NRCS, yes.
Yeah.
The NRCS program does vary state to state. So in Ohio, the irrigation is not a priority because we typically have enough rain. So like right now, it's raining outside. And we have
So we're fine.
Well, not really, but yes. We're better than like Colorado. They just don't have rain for months.
Yeah, Arizona.
And Cheryl, we did look into leasing some cold space from someone local, so that definitely is a possibility. It's just never as convenient when it's not on site. So yes, if we had to go that route, we could. Right now, we make it work, but it's absolutely a juggling nightmare. So we're just having to pull stuff out, to put stuff in, and we don't have the ability to roll pallets in and out. So when the new cold space is done, we'll be able to roll, a pallet of melons and a pallet of corn right into the cooler and not have to get the tractor out and move it. And then only Michael or Caleb, who's one of our main guys, can do that. So yeah, there's a lot of options. We have some local farmers that I actually know. I mean, I'm sure Mile Creek, they have that giant cooler. If I were to say, hey, could you guys just let us throw something in there? They'd be more than happy to. So yeah. Karen is asking, great question, Karen.
Hibiscus.
Are there specific hibiscus varieties that can be harvested for tea? I was thinking when I bought from the local greenhouse is different than the one I bought from you, which is doing really well. Thank you. Yes, Karen. So you want red tie hibiscus. Hibiscus is a massive plant family, and I think it actually might even go over several genuses. Because there are hibiscus which grow wild and is perennial out here.
Oh.
And then the stuff we do is called Roselle hibiscus. Oh, now I have to go find the Latin.
Just put Brie on it.
No, I know exactly where it is. I can go get it real quick. Because yes, we do a fair amount of plants. And we ship those. And we found this out the hard way, is that we got the wrong seed one year and it wasn't red tie hibiscus. So
cranberry hibiscus.
Well, that's what it's known as, but it's hibiscus sabdifera.
Sabdarifa.
The sabdarifa.
I don't know. That's how I would say it.
Okay. But I'm sure Bree can put in the comments there of actually what kind of different hibiscuses are there. But I do want to show folks.
Like an ornamental hibiscus that just flowers really beautifully, right?
Yes.
But it's not going to ever give you these like seed.
No, because they're different things. Yeah. Let me guys share with you the hibiscus we're talking about. So this is the hibiscus that we sell. And it's very different. Yeah. So it has the calyxes, which is the little red part right there. And you cut those off. And I mean, it's delicious.
Yeah, I mean, you can eat them just like that. they're very tart, but they are really good. I prefer making a tea out of them.
Yeah.
And the seed pod inside makes your tea a little bit viscous. So it's like, I don't mean thick in like a globby way. It gives, I don't know, viscous. It has a viscosity
yes.
to the tea.
It's a thicker.
It's just like a little thicker, but mix that with some mint or lemon, some honey.
It's the same thing. Like, well, so it's very interesting when you start.
And lots of vitamin C. There's a lot of vitamin C in it.
Yes, it's very good for you. Everyone should be growing hibiscus, getting their plants from us.
Absolutely.
But it's interesting because you're right. Cranberry hibiscus has the same like viscousness of, let's say, an okra.
Yeah. Yes.
Or purslane.
Sure.
Which we do have in the store. So our local customers need to come out and buy the purslane that is in the greens cooler. Purslane is actually, I'm going to go ahead and unshare this.
I heard my name, but I missed the request. A child? Breathe.
You can't let that get to you. You're better than that. Bree, we wanted to know the differences between different hibiscuses because we sell the cranberry hibiscus or roselle hibiscus, but there are a bunch of other ones out there. So that was the question, kind of what there was.
Yeah.
But back to the purslane.
Ooh.
That was super close. Yes. But purslane was actually Gandhi's favorite vegetable. And purslane is actually, in many instances, a weed. And so it's definitely a weed for us.
That would make sense for Gandhi.
It's a weed that actually loves fertile soils.
How would you use purslane?
Oh, great question. The easiest thing to do is just to kind of mince it and throw it in a salad.
So, like along with your lettuce greens.
Let it with your lettuce
greens. Or would
greens.
you have a salad just of purslane?
So you could have a salad just purslane. It's a little lemony.
Yeah, it's really.
We had a recipe once that was purslane, like corn cut off the cob, diced peppers, and
like
then
slaw kind of thing.
Kind of like a little bit of slaw.
Okay.
You probably could cook it. I've never cooked it, but I believe they do cook it in India.
It either. It's lemony though, so whatever you might want something bright, it's going to brighten it up.
Yeah. Now, again, if you're making smoothies, like you make a morning smoothie, I would just drop a few sprigs in that, and then your bunch would be gone by the end of the week. Because again, it's so healthy for you. But back to is that purslane loves rich soil. And so right now it thrives in all our tunnels because that's where the richest soil is on the farm. And certain fields it doesn't do well in. Like it doesn't do out well by the tracks because the tracks are pretty poor out there.
Yeah, they are.
And then as you get closer up to the house, it does better on this side of the property.
Yeah.
Because really the best soil on the farm is actually in that corner behind us. So anyway, it's interesting once you start to get on the land and really start to, walk it again and again and again, you really start to get a lot more in tune with the land. It's, they say the footsteps of the farmer is the best fertilizer. And that absolutely is true.
That's poetic, honey.
Whatever. But I mean, that's why, at night I'll just disappear and go over to John's and just literally walk the fields.
Yeah.
And just try to learn it, feel it. I'll go right after a rain, before a rain, and just try to understand the flows and everything that's going on over there.
Yeah. Poetry is not a dick. I like poetry.
All right. So, Karen, it is fun. The biggest thing about hibiscus is like when we planted it, tried to do it in New York, we just really couldn't get it to grow because it was too short of a season.
It's not warm enough.
Here we'll have about a 4-week season for it, and then we lose about 50% of the plant. It really would do well if we were to plant it earlier and probably row cover it in the spring if we really cared about it.
It would give us it's like a race to get it all harvested because it is very labor intensive to harvest all of that.
Yeah. And that's another reason why it's expensive. So we probably really should do U-pick for people that really like it.
Oh, yeah. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
It does a number on your hands because you really have to use the little clippers to
cut everyone
get
off.
It off. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's delicious and I always miss it when I run out because I never have enough.
Yes. And we did plant some this year. It is way behind. So we will definitely see if we get something out of it.
Oh dear.
But yeah.
We have this one fig tree and I just keep looking at all the figs and I'm like, are you guys going to ever?
Savannah, I hate to break it to you, but we have 13 figs on the farm now.
Oh, never mind.
A lot.
So surely
They are, and some of these
we're gonna
fig
get some
trees
figs.
are doing really well, folks.
Oh,
I
just see the one I pass multiple
Yes,
times a day.
yes. I
They
think we
smell
have
amazing.
5 different types now.
Oh, nice. Why would you hate to break that to me? That's great news.
Well, I don't know, good news, bad news sort of thing. Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Anyway,
okay.
and we also
Chatty McGPT. Oh, Brie, you're my favorite. So for culinary use, the roselle is the most notable. The false roselle is also used with tiny leaves and calluses, adding flavor to salad and garnishes.
Yeah, but Brie, the hibiscus that has the giant flowers. I mean,
She's just passing along Chatty McGPT.
okay, so ask your chatty friend what the ones with the giant flowers like this, and you can get all different colors for the garden.
Wouldn't it be just an ornamental hibiscus?
Probably, yes, but is it the same genus? Is the question.
Oh, don't know.
But I did not know. This is news to me. Is I did not know there was a false roselle.
Roselle. Yeah. I saw somebody take the skins off of the seed pod, so like the outer layer, and then candy them and make like a chewy kind of candy.
Could you put that in a scone?
A chewy candy or the outside of the hibiscus?
No, like the chewy candy. Or how would you use that in cooking? Because it sounds like it could be tasty in cooking too.
Well, it probably would be. It just looked very labor intensive. I was like, I don't have time for that.
Cindy, a lot of hours.
We do.
I mean, we have a really good team. So unfortunately at this stage in our business, and hopefully that will change as we're actually hiring for some office. And as you grow a farm, and it's really hard to spare dollars for non-production jobs. Like right now, we want to hire someone for the kitchen because they're going to go in the kitchen, they're going to chop up vegetables, the vegetables get processed and go into the store and get sold. That is a direct to production job. And if you look at, let's say, the Japanese Six Sigma, which would also be like, it talks all about eliminating waste. And so someone who's cutting up vegetables for the customer is not waste because they're directly contributing to a product going to a customer. But then we kind of go into the would where we're also trying to find the the bandwidth to hire someone there too. And unfortunately, most of the work in the office would be considered as mula, or I think it's mula. Anyway, or waste, the Japanese word for waste, because that invoice getting uploaded and put in the accounting system doesn't directly contribute to getting someone food into the store. There are different species within the genus. So that's why, so right now, yes, I'm spending way too much time in the store, in the office, because I'm like, today I had to invoice people, I had to respond to comments, I had to do different things. So the goal is to be outside more, but I mean, we work a lot of hours. We have a great team that works a lot of hours. The payroll is substantial. Let's put it that way. But I also would say that we've scaled very quickly in the last 18 months. If you were to kind of look at the higher last 18 months ago, it was substantially smaller.
Yeah.
So once we got into the retail store, kind of that demand brought more people in. We've also expanded online. So like shipping strawberries nationwide, the plugs, that is now massive. And that last year, that was a quarter of what it was this year. Mm-hmm. So we're scaling really quickly. We have a lot. I mean, our first team gets here at 6 o'clock. And the main reason for them here at 6 o'clock is so they can avoid the main heat in the afternoon. So they work 6 o'clock to 2:30, and then they're out of here. And so that really puts so a lot of the times we're out in the fields early, just getting stuff done. It's better for the produce for us to be out there that early, and better for you guys as well, because when produce is harvested in the cool of the day, that is going to store better and last in your fridge longer. So if you were to harvest lettuce at noon, it would just be really rough for it. So we're harvesting early, getting stuff out of the fields.
It'd be bitter too, wouldn't it?
Yes, the sugar content and just sap content changes very quickly in plants. So yeah, that can absolutely happen too. But Yeah, I mean, I still think we work too many hours, but that's kind of, you know, the entrepreneurship lifestyle. You don't work for somebody, but you're gonna, you know, work a lot of hours.
So it's within our control as well. Like we're not victims to something. We
No.
can say like we're done.
Yes, we
Like,
decided
needed
to add the
done.
strawberries.
Right.
And so that definitely means that is more management for me. And so, you know, it's one of those, it's a trade-off. You know, with the strawberries, we know there's a certain our margin on those. And we know if we do X number of strawberries, we can use that profit from the strawberries to do other things. And so a lot of what we do is based on basically, okay, we need to do X on the farm. So how can we pay for X? So we can do Y, Z, and then another A probably. So that's where that comes in too. I think, I mean, obviously, I would say government compliance is way too much of our time. I would say that is the biggest hindrance to our growth is dealing with government compliance. And it's government compliance on a local, state, and I mean, national really doesn't affect us too much, but definitely, you know, local and state is the challenges. That is just an inordinate amount of my time. So. Yeah, that struggles.
We could do something else with our life, you know, but would we have much fun?
Yes. Yeah. Cindy, Lisa asked the question.
Repeat the comment. I've tried overwintering roselle indoors before I got to the high tunnel. Too small a pot for it to thrive. Yeah, the plants get really big. They do. I mean, our plants get 5 feet, 6 feet tall. I don't know about that. I feel like 4 or 5 feet tall for sure. I never feel like they're above my head. Okay. Yeah. But they get large. They're rotund. But you're right. I mean, I don't think that would be possible for you to put in a pot, unfortunately. Yeah. You'd have to use such a big pot. Mm-hmm. It would almost be like you'd want to start it in a pot, a really big giant pot. Then you could wheel it around or something. And maybe what you would do is start it like January 1st. Mm. Then in like end of February, you could pot it into your pot. And then you could bring that bigger plant outside for the summer. Yeah. And then you'd probably end up getting what you wanted out of it. But would it overwinter in the greenhouse? I'm sorry, I'm yawning. I don't know if it would overwinter in the greenhouse. You have to keep it above freezing. Yeah. And it would eventually die. Yeah. 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 Die. Yeah. Yes, Karen, we have fond memories of the bus as well. I had to talk about the farm the other day, and I actually, for the first time in a presentation, I took the bus slide out because, you know, at this point now we're kind of past that. Wow. How did that feel? It was interesting. Did you cry? No, I didn't. But emotional? We did like that bus. I've never dealt with a 24-volt vehicle before the bus, so that was interesting. We learned a lot with that bus. It was actually a really, really great vehicle. I mean, aside from like just the vehicle itself, it was just a neat concept. Yeah. I'm glad we tried it. I'm glad we did it, you know. Well, it grew for us for 2 years, and It absolutely worked. It helped us circumvent local government regulations and provide food to y'all. So there we go. Yes. Yeah. Lisa said, tiny yellow strawberries and rain gutters. White soul, and it produces all seasons. We have looked into that. Yes, I would like to. But I also have 16 other projects. This year, we're doing day neutral strawberries. So actually, there's probably about a pint out there. I know. I walked by them the other day. I was like, gosh, wow. It's really coming down out there. But I thought, man, there's some strawberries out there. Yeah. So we're doing those. I've done those about maybe 15 years ago. And now we're really doing a lot more dedicated space and really trying to put a lot more effort into it. And so we'll definitely see how they grow. So far the jury is out if we're going to do them again. Yeah. But in a gutter, in a greenhouse, that would be fun. One of the challenges we face here on this specific farm is the chlorides in our water. So we have super high chloride. So that means any long-term greenhouse crop we can struggle with. So because we'd be putting them in gutters and doing a very long-term crop, the chlorides would probably rise pretty precipitously and cause some challenges.
we are looking at harvesting all the rainwater off the tunnels as well as our barn, and then basically irrigating all our greenhouses from rainwater. And if we did that, that would probably make a massive difference with the quality of the water in our greenhouse and make us be able to do things like that again. So, yeah, I've definitely thought of it. There's a lot of fun things out there you can do, and unfortunately, just not enough hours in the day. James says, we're looking to get insurance for the first time. Selling at farmers markets, then build to a CSA. The insurance company will increase the rates if we had restaurants and grocery store. How much did you tell me? How much do you tell on insurance company that you do? So you know everything up front. Any recommendations? James, here's the problem. If you don't tell them and they get you, so basically, let's say you tell them, hey, I'm going to sell off my farm. They're like, okay, we'll write you a policy for that. But then you start selling to a restaurant or two, and they may not cover you for a claim against you for that specific thing. They're like, well, you weren't covered for that specific thing. Now, you don't have to tell them sometimes the scale, or you don't have to tell them what they don't ask. I mean, to us, insurance is cheap insurance. We also have a private membership association. That's how we run the farm. So everything is negotiated with our members in the private domain. So we don't have to have as extensive an insurance policy as some other places do have.
We're also I guess we do sell some restaurants, but not grocery
like
stores.
one or two.
Yeah.
Restaurants is not our focus. Our focus is we want, and that's why we don't do off-farm markets either. And it's hard. We do, some of our CSA members do get boxes delivered at some drop sites, but that's not our preference. We really want people to come to the farm and enjoy the farm and learn what an actual farm is. And we want kids running around and picking flowers. We are working on a pretty substantial customer engagement area on the farm with a big pavilion and a children's play area. So that is coming. It's slower. It's all about the government, guys. That's literally the only holdup is the government. But
the local government.
But I mean, again, it's not like they're inadvertently picking us out. It's just because within city limits we have to comply with certain things.
Yeah.
So there's not anyway. And I happen to actually like most of the people in our local government. So we have some great people down there right now. I mean, 4 years ago I would have said things very differently, but right now we have wonderful people there. We had a big turnover there. So. But back to, people coming to the farm. Yes, people coming to the farm. So we really focus on people at the farm. That's what we're trying to perpetuate and just encourage. So back to insurance, though, we work with, and I would definitely recommend, James, calling Campbell Risk Management. They're in Indiana. They focus on farmers market insurance. And again, usually, like if you're going to restaurants and grocery stores, depending on what kind of insurance you want. If you want food liability insurance, that's going to be very different than if you want a general farm liability policy. Most farmers markets are going to make you have $1 million to $2 million in liability, which is very cheap. It's usually a couple $100 a year. You will probably save if you roll all your insurance into them, but you can also just ask them to insure the farm and just that liability aspect. Do get several different quotes and know what they're actually covering. So make sure you review it. Don't just sign on the dotted line. Make sure you look through every single thing, because one of the things I realized is that during COVID, after COVID, there was a massive increase in building materials. Stuff went 2 to 3 times more expensive. And so I noticed they did not change our coverage for our barn. And I knew that if our barn were to burn down, we were only insured for probably about a quarter of what it was actually worth, especially since we were building the store inside.
Right.
So I called them and I changed that. I actually upped all our tractors at that point because, again, at that same point, tractors were hard to get. The price on those went up. So do that. And then the other thing is, every single year, do a line by line going through with the insurance agent, because how insurance agencies make money is they come in at a very low price and get you to go with them, and then they bump the premium every single year after that. And so you want to constantly be negotiating with them to get that back down and threaten to leave for another agent to make sure you keep that under control. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful. Cindy says, I'm retired and 64. I'm free work. I'll work for free.
She's gonna work for free.
I used to work as a respiratory therapist, so I don't know how much about invoicing, but I can help. You do such a fabulous job. I'll get back to you for free. Well, Cindy, we really appreciate that.
We do. We'll keep that in mind. I think we do have some people.
Yes.
That
I can help, but I don't like working to register. That's fine. There's always things to do. Cindy, what you can do is if you you can submit like what we call a will call. And so that means that basically if we have jobs, we just need some, a few hours here and there or some general help. Then we're more
like
than
sticking strawberry tips.
Yes, like sticking strawberry tips.
Peeling garlic for pickles or something.
Yes. So there's all sorts of things there. Yeah. Karen says, I'm the one that appreciates the delivery. Thank you for providing that option. We enjoy our visits to the farm as well. Just not easy to get there as often as we'd like. And Karen, that's exactly why we do offer that, because we supply for even folks down in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And they do come out to the farm. So again, they get on the farm, they see what's going on. But a lot of people have very busy schedules, and we recognize that and respect that.
I mean, we would have a hard time coming here, like with our busy schedule.
Yeah, I mean, we have hard enough time doing the Azure pickup once a month, and we complain about that. At least we don't schedule pickups, at 6:45 on 4th of July.
We're still a little salty about that, even though
We
it didn't
are.
happen.
Yes.
There's a lady who comes to the store every week to pick up her CSA and shop, who drives a solid hour every week. And I'm always like, you're my hero.
Yeah, she does. I mean, she comes up, she gets a lot of food.
Yeah. What do you want? What do you want? We'll make it happen.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it sounds like we have a fair amount of our customers on here too, because we obviously, with this live, we do it for our education business, which is global, and then we do it for our local customers as well. So it's good to see a good mix here. Kitchen, do we want to talk about the bread share that's coming up?
Oh,
And just get feedback from folks.
Sure. We're gonna offer bread subscriptions. That's what you're talking about? Yeah. So I think we're gonna roll out just maybe a couple dozen. So you would get.
Yeah, so it'll be available via CSA, and that you'll have to subscribe in the CSA portal. So it won't be something you can walk into the store.
Right.
Scott, I am so glad that you are appreciating the bread share. I know that you're going to be here every week for it.
I don't think he's talking about the bread share. I think he's just talking about us being here together. It's helpful.
Oh, no, Scott's after the bread.
He's going to have to travel a bit for the bread.
Maybe he'll ask us to FedEx it to him overnight.
I have mailed bread before. I think it did okay.
Yes, yeah. But so we're going to, because one of the things that is helpful for us is it's not necessarily hard to bake an extra 5 loaves. It's the process. I mean, it's the whole fact of you doing X amount of X. And so adding a little bit extra. So that's where I think it'd be nice. And it's helpful for us to know how many loaves are going out the door.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and especially when we get into like slower seasons, it's like, if we know that 20 people want bread, then we'll absolutely have 20 loaves of fresh bread. What are you doing?
Nothing. I got OCD about something.
Okay. Lock it down. But we might not do as much for the store or something like that. These are like the slower, like February, March kind of like seasons or months. So and then because we know it's already sold, we can offer it at a lower price.
Yeah. So if you like our bread, you're going to come every week for it. You should just jump on a subscription.
And right now it'll just be artisan loaves, like just the white plain loaves. But as we get rolling, that could change.
We're still struggling with our kitchen help. Not necessarily struggling. They are unwinding themselves from previous employment is what it is.
Yeah.
So, and again, sometimes it takes a while to do that if you're a very valuable human being. So sometimes you have to work with people for that.
Who has morals.
Yes, which we appreciate.
Yeah, we do.
Because we have many times been on the other side of that.
End of someone going, done.
Same.
Yeah, I'm going, okay.
Yeah.
Let me just pick up 15 loose ends.
So, so getting the kitchen up to speed still happening. Like we have to make pickles tomorrow or sometime soon, very soon. And
I love how you keep looking at me when we have to make pickles.
Well,
I have like a little bit of like trauma about pickles.
You're the one that's technically in charge of the kitchen now. But anyway, yes, we do have to make pickles. We finally have enough cucumbers, so we'll be making hopefully like 4 or 5 batches. Because when we first started, if anyone remembers back to the bus, we had a lot of pickles, and people loved the pickles.
Bought the bus off pickles. We paid for the bus
with pickles. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are very good. They last a nice long time. They're salty, crunchy, garlicky, all the things you want in a pickle.
Yeah.
But
they're not a fermented pickle.
No,
they're just a vinegar pickle.
They're a quick pickle. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I wouldn't be opposed to doing like a actual brined pickle.
Like a crock.
Yes.
Pickle.
Fermented
pickle. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need the pickles come out soggy. I understand, Lisa.
But the other question, Lisa, are you canning your pickles? Because that's what we found is like my mom used to make pickles and she would can them. And oh yeah, they were, I mean, you had to get past the texture. But they were tasty and they're delicious. What we found, which was way more delicious and more crunchy, was dilly beans. So just pickled green beans, and those were delicious.
They are a pain. Anything with green beans is kind of a pain in the butt.
Well,
you have
green
to
beans
touch
are
each green bean like a million times.
Yeah, green beans are an expensive crop to produce.
Yeah.
And yes, Lisa, we do have thunder here. Yeah, it's been the next 3-4 days are all really stormy days for us, so we are kind of dodging raindrops as we speak. Where's Lisa again?
Was she the one in Nebraska?
Nebraska, yes. Yeah. I wonder what part of...
I have a lot of family in Nebraska.
Yeah, hiring is probably one of the higher stress. Well, dealing with people is the absolute highest stress aspect of owning a business.
Because if you have people, you have people's problems, and then you have a people problem.
And I mean, and the good part about people is they're not robots. So everyone's going to be different, and you've got emotions, and you've got feelings.
They're literally it's the best and the worst part of it. That's like the hiring side, the retail side, all of it.
And I think one of the reasons, like people always ask me, like you could pick any business that you could do. Why do you pick the business you have that has people, especially a lot of people? And it's because I really do like working with people. I mean, we enjoy being with people. We enjoy that. But there's always everything that is with people too.
Just things.
Omaha, Nebraska just declared a disaster area. Wow.
Oh. Tornado? Was it a tornado?
Or straight line winds.
Oh. Thank you for that reminder, Scott.
Yes.
Michael did declare that quite loudly at a conference once. I don't like people. We were like, shh. It was kind of a rough season. To his credit, he doesn't like people, and you do like people.
That was a rough season.
It was.
Yes. Again, they're challenging.
I feel like.
I think I do better now. And I mean, there's a reason why I'm not behind I'm not behind the counter in the store an awful lot.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
But I'm really good to get other things done.
We just work to our strengths,
Yes. Cindy says, my husband was a retail store manager for 43 years and
retired.
He
gets it. He probably had a t-shirt that said, I don't like people too,
And this is why he probably retired at 64. It's like, I just can't do it anymore.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. But and the thing is too is that one of the things that one of the core values we have as a business is family. And when you value family as a core value, that means you have to give more leeway for family and employees' family. So I think
without ignoring your own family.
Well, yes. And that is actually, and especially as a small business.
Right.
So, I mean, the thing is, so like, okay, so here's, let's talk about this. When the corn gets left out or the melons get left out, I can't just call someone and say, hey, you got to come back to the farm and put these away. It's Michael has to do it. Or, I mean, you have to, like we're up sometimes 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Not necessarily doing those things, but we're up late because we're trying to get other things done because we had to do those things.
Yeah. So, I mean,
And that honestly, it really doesn't happen that often. But it will always happen at the worst possible moment. And it will always happen when you're about to be done with the world, like, like the incident we had on Saturday.
Yeah. Not my finest moment.
So, but I found out more information about this problem. I don't know. We have a 7-year-old boy. I feel like that should just explain everything. And a door that is not supposed to be locked got locked. And
someone left the keys inside the room in a drawer, because at that point that was the best place to put it.
Because the door wasn't supposed to be locked.
Yes. And so literally, what was it, Saturday at 5:30?
Oh, it was like closer to 6.
Well, I mean, again,
we're wanting to be like, done. Like, go get our pizza and ice cream, go to the lake.
Yes, and we had to wait around for a locksmith. Thankfully, we had a wonderful one of our customers her husband is a locksmith.
Yeah,
and they were incredibly kind to come out.
That's why all her little boys have tons of keys on their belt chain. I wondered about that.
Yes, but anyway, he came out 5 minutes later.
Yeah,
we were in, and it didn't derail us too bad, but it was still frustrating.
It was frustrating.
Yeah.
But I feel like the reason I brought that situation up, because you don't want to be so like strung out over things that you can't just calmly deal with whatever situation just a normal family kind of situation brings up, And so I think that's always a balance we're kind of dancing around.
Yeah. And that's why I think a lot of people solo farm. And again, I'm not knocking you. I think you are more a farmer than I am if you decide to solo farm, but we never want to not have a team, because we never want to always have to be the one to do everything.
Yeah.
It's not that we can't.
I can't imagine the mental burden of all of that being alone, And I think that's where, even though you might declare you don't like people, you really do, because it's not fun to feel alone.
No.
And it's not fun to feel alone in the trenches of wherever you are. So
yeah. And people make the farm go around. So yes.
And when we're tired of each other, we can just go talk to somebody else.
Yes.
Omaha, Nebraska had straight line winds. Tornadoes were last month.
Wow.
Oh, see, my family is around Lincoln and DeWitt.
Yeah. Lots of homes and leafed out and saturated soil. Yep. Literally the worst scenario. Yeah. What do you folks plant after garlic is pulled? I was trying for bush beans, but with no electric for water. Great question, Lisa. So yeah, beans are actually a great thing after that. We'll rotate into lettuce sometimes after that. Garlic for us has a high mulch load. And so basically we mulch our garlic and onions with heavy rates of leaves. And so that means that we have to break that down. So typically we go into a little bit of a bare fallow, where we will just chisel the ground and then just leave it for 3 to 4 weeks. And that will help that break down, and then we're ready to go to the next crop. That field on our farm is going to the fall brassicas, which we will go ahead here in probably about another week or so and get those starting to plant those. We actually need this cabbage,
cauliflower, broccoli. What else you got for me?
Chinese cabbage, kohlrabi.
Okay.
Daikon radish, but the daikon's a brassica, but we see those way later.
Daikon's a brassica.
Yeah, like a radish.
Huh.
And they look the same coming up out of the ground.
Yeah. I guess now I'm thinking, okay.
Okay, so again, folks, if you're not into the vegetable world like I am,
Oh, here we go.
So the crucifer, it's the crucifer brassica, and you have like daikon and radish, which is where you eat the root. And then you've got kohlrabi, where you eat the stem.
Oh.
And then you've got broccoli, where and cauliflower, where you eat the buds.
Right.
And then you've got cabbage, where you eat the leaves.
Would that be like the Brussels
and
sprouts?
Kale, where you eat the leaves. Oh, and Brussels sprouts, where I don't know what you really eat. It's something or other.
You eat the leaves.
It's not really a leaf. It's kind of like
a bud.
It's kind of like a bud.
A bud on a stalk.
And then let's say you were to eat, you were to grow like rat tail radish. You eat the seed pod, And then if you make mustard, you eat the seeds.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, seriously, it's like the plant that never stops giving.
Wow.
But if
I've
you
always loved brassicas.
yes, but if you think
They are the
about
female of the vegetable. They are the mothers.
anyway, it's just amazing to think about the different levels of breeding that has gone in over the millennium to give us 8 different or 10 different crops from the same family.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Anyway,
That my brain just exploded a little tiny bit.
yes.
I want to take a moment for what Cindy's husband was told. A 24-year-old woman who was tired of working 30 hours a week. My husband said, "You're young and you're not tired. Please get busy."
Yeah, but by Tuesday morning, we've already put in 30 hours. So sometimes
Somehow
yes.
we've warped time.
Yes. Lincoln, isn't your grandma
Yeah, there was that power. Oh.
without power to the municipal water pumps?
Oh man.
Because they're so flat out there.
Yeah. She might have left and gone into DeWitt, where her family is. Or Plymouth.
She didn't text you, or
She didn't text me.
Maybe
but that doesn't
you should
mean
text
she hasn't
her.
texted other family members.
maybe you should text her and make sure she's still.
Are you okay?
Yes.
These were deep thoughts about brassicas.
Oh, I'm just getting started.
I feel
So it's
more poetry about to happen.
no, but the only thing I was gonna say is that in cabbage, people if people look at a cabbage as like there's a cabbage, but
I don't think that when I see a cabbage.
When you go to the conferences I do, the cabbage breeder, Jan from Bejo, and actually I'll post the podcast, but there are like 5 or 6 different types of cabbage.
Mm-hmm.
There's flat cabbages, which are for wraps. There's pointy head cabbages, which are for this. There's kraut cabbages with lower water amounts for basic, so it really makes a really nice kraut.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's one of those things. Like the guy will literally talk your ear off for 2 hours on just cabbage.
I like it.
So
you're like, this is nothing.
Cassandra's on too. Lisa said Grammy can stay here with me. All right, we will let you know. James is asking, do you have any advice for tomato blight? James, what type of tomato blight do you have? Because there are 2. Mad passion. I don't know. I've been doing it for 20 years. I guess maybe I've kind of got a little bit.
You've been hanging out with Bejo seed reps.
Too long, yes. A little obsessed. So there's late blight and there's early blight, James. So your late blight is something that usually comes on and within 48 hours, the plants kind of like just drop. And
wouldn't it be late blight this time of year? Or would it depend on where you are?
No. Late blight, early blight hits all throughout the year. Late blight blows up typically on storms from the south. It typically comes in August and September. And the fruit get bullseyes on them, and just like the fruit turns to water.
Gotcha.
And the plants will just drop within 48 hours.
He shrugged. He doesn't know what kind.
James, if you're, I'm assuming you have early blight because you would know if it was late blight. Your plant, you literally lose all your plants within 24 to 72 hours.
Okay.
When we got late blight in 2012 on our potato crop back in New York, no, it was 2010.
The Great Potato Famine.
It was 2010 when we got it. We could literally, within hours, watch the late blight circle spread through our field.
That's so crazy. That's so crazy.
It was. I went down first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
It's a fungus. Yes, I went down first thing in the morning, and I called the extension agent. I said, "I think I've got it. You're gonna have to come look." And by the time she came and looked, it gone from 6 feet to about 24 feet in diameter. Jeez. So it goes that fast. So you probably
like
have
that black thing from Spider-Man.
Yes, it kind of is. So I'm assuming you have early blight. There's a couple different sprays you can put on. So you can try the old milk trick. Some people say raw milk, dilute it in water. Baking soda is also another one you can do. There are some organic regular sprays you can buy, which there's like Actinovate's a good one. You can also put copper on. But let's talk cultural first, because we always want to do cultural aspects. So the first thing is to cover your soil. So when we plant tomatoes, we either plant on plastic, and then between the beds, we will actually put down straw, or we'll actually plant them right through straw or landscape fabric or something like that. So if you can shield them from the soil, that will hold it back for usually a couple weeks. The other thing is really think about your nutrition. And so obviously calcium and silica are going to be the two things that are usually deficient when you're seeing late blight come in. So that's why the milk trick sometimes works, especially if it's raw milk because it's not been processed, and the calcium in the milk can help the plants kind of perk up. So yeah, that's what those are kind of like 3 or 4 different things that you can try there. So yes, yes, Bree did. Yes, yes.
Hi.
Now that Jan Vanderheide, yes. He unfortunately he didn't spend a half hour talking about cabbage.
It was a missed opportunity.
He did spend about 15 minutes talking about carrot seeds and why they drop Nelson carrots, which I think the majority of us farmers in the U.S. are sore about.
Okay.
But it really came down to, you guys are going to have to listen to it. I'm not going to tell you the story. You go listen to the episode.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't listened to it.
Yes. So
somebody asked me about it. Do you listen to all your podcasts? I said no.
We have a sourdough question.
Oh, I have. Oh, stiff starter question. My first 48 hours turns out bubbly and great. Next one. Tom and Anna North. I'm kind of assuming I'm talking to Anna, but I could be talking to Tom. Are you making a starter from scratch, or did you get a
friend
dehydrated starter, or did you get starter from a friend? Where's your starter from? Because that will help me answer that question. Sometimes if you're making it yourself from scratch, yeah, that's why. That is just very, very common. Keep going. Don't stop. Don't stop believing. But also, what?
Did you know?
Oh dear.
You can get natural yeast off of juniper berries.
Yes, I did. Mm-hmm.
I learned it today. I'm feeling kind of,
You and juniper berries.
They're awesome.
You have a thing. So you can do a couple of things. You can try feeding it every 12 hours. You can add a little bit of rye flour, which adds just a different kind of bacteria into the mix. You can up the water by like 5 grams until you just get some like consistent activity. Those would be my 3 things to try before you
add the juniper berries.
Don't just.
Sorry.
People are just going to be like.
I don't even think juniper berries are ready this time of year. Maybe they are.
I don't know. I'm just imagining a juniper berry sourdough starter. I'm going to try it.
I mean, but why don't we put juniper berries in like a mix-in for your loaves? I mean, they're only poisonous in large quantities.
You know what our friend Megan, she gets this really fancy bougie bacon from Ayers Valley.
That has juniper berries.
And yeah, in their brine is juniper berries. I'm not a drinker, but I love it. Yeah, yeah. Gin's not bad. Yeah, try the water and the no juniper berries in Tennessee. Don't freak it up. Well, don't worry. Don't fix it on the juniper berries like Michael is. I think the rye and the water might help. You can up the 12 hours. Keep me posted. But yeah, homemade starters from scratch are possible, and they're mentally like what you're doing is really simple steps, but it can take a very long time, and it can feel really frustrating. So. Yeah, a common sourdough question lately is their dough is sticky when they bake and hard to shape. It's because it's overproofed. And the reason it's overproofed is because it's warm.
I know that one.
You know that one.
Yes.
Michael's getting a little cocky about the information he has up here, but it's not. He has here right now. I need to get him in the kitchen and be like, here.
I have a lot of, yes.
Show me how, sir, Mr. Cabbage Man.
I have a lot of head knowledge. And no other knowledge on sourdough.
Quentin and I want to see you shape a loaf.
I'm sure I could do it eventually.
Oh, no, yeah.
But yeah.
So, Bree, to answer that question, so you can answer other people's questions, is to just
faster. Really
back off the countertop proofing time.
Use cold water.
Yeah, don't try to make your water warm. Use cool water.
And
don't do it overnight because it's gonna overproof it. It's gonna overproof at 2:00 in the morning, and no one wants to get up and shape a loaf at 2:00 in the morning and stick it in the fridge.
But you can also measure the temp with a thermometer, and then you can calculate how long it's going to be. So if you do want to do it, and you can just then calculate that's going to be 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah, if you want to get up in the middle of the night and do that, that's fine. But just do your proofing during the day. So, that I've ruined more bread in the summertime than I ever have in the wintertime because of that very reason. It's just proofed.
Yeah, but then you can make focaccia.
You can make focaccia. You can throw it in a loaf tin and bake it that way to give it some structure. It may still be a little dense. It may still be a little...
You can make croutons.
Yep. You can make French toast casserole.
Which is a really popular here. It's really popular in the spring because we have lots of eggs.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, it's easy to add like fruit and stuff in, although I didn't last time I made it. But
yes,
yeah.
And so it's
you liked it. I think you liked it more than the kids did. So
yes, we put maple syrup on it, and yes,
cinnamon,
it's
and it's crunchy and yummy.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, I think we are now. Bree's hungry. Yep, Bree, if you come visit us, we would feed you French toast casserole. But
feed you a lot of yummy things, Bree.
Yeah, she's got cows now, so she can't come. And she's got a flower business. You should see she's got a flower website, and she's got these little cute cards that she puts on.
Her flower bouquets are.
Yes, Bree, you will have to go ahead and send Savannah a picture of the little cards you did.
Okay.
Yeah, so super cute.
Can't wait.
All right, folks. I think we're going to wrap it up. It's been an hour. Our kids are, who knows what they're doing. And Cassandra, yes, you're welcome anytime, Cassandra. We have a spare bedroom if you just want to come up. Or you can camp by the train track and listen to trains all night long.
They literally vibrate the house sometimes.
Yes.
And we're not that far from Bree, so you could go get some raw milk from Bree. Work retreat at the farm. That would be fun.
Yes.
Oh, you got a question about candy onions?
Yep, James. Yeah, you can start selling them right away. Curing is just for storage. So yes, we actually start selling onions out of the field as soon as they're big enough to we want to waste them.
They're so beautiful when they're fresh like
that. So I mean, if you get a good onion like this, you pull it up, we clean them off so they're nice and white or bright. Trim the chops a little bit shorter, and then bunch 2 or 3 to a bunch. We sell them as a green onion. You can sell them as a green onion. And then you just then when they start to fall over, basically when 40% of fall over, we then go and roll the field. And so that means we take a barrel out, or you can just use a body in a barrel.
I don't know. Sorry, we need to turn this off. I'm getting loopy.
Some people just drag a chain.
Okay.
One person to the side of the bed, and the goal is literally just to knock the tops over. And then what that does is start telling the plant, "Oh,
a body would work then."
It might be a little damaging. But you're just telling the plants, "Hey, we're done growing for the season. We're going to start drying down." In the north, in zone 4, we could actually field cure. Down here in Ohio, we never try to field cure because it's too warm for them. We would cook them.
Yeah.
So they come and they usually get rolled, and then we'll let them sit for a week in the field. That will dry them down somewhat. Then we bin them, and then they come into with full fans on them to really fan them. So yes, yeah. But candies are not a long storage. I mean, they will store, but they're not a long storage. So you will want to move those sooner rather than later. Probably before Christmas if you can put them into the cooler. I mean, a good storage onion like a Copra, which actually they don't produce anymore, like a Patterson, something like that. Those will go good 8, 10, 12 months in storage if you really have the right storage conditions. So, yeah. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Before I say something else inappropriate.
Yes, and we will chat with you guys all next month. All right, folks, have a good evening.